Alright guys, so I've just come back from Moldova where I experienced very strict WAF refereeing. Here in Australia we have kind of a hybrid version of refereeing that's not quite as extreme as the WOW version, but it is much closer to WOW than it is to WAF. Now, a lot of people have been talking about the refereeing of WOW. We've just seen 406, we've seen big kind of leniencies with the Michael Todd, Devon Larratt saga. And on the other hand, we've got the extremes like Andrei Pushkar up against Dmitry Trubin and Andrei being fouled out. So the question is, which is the right direction for the sport? The WAF approach, the super strict approach, or the entertainment-based WAL approach? And I wanted to talk about the pros and cons of each of them and kind of come up with my kind of conclusions. Now, very interestingly, the sport of arm wrestling, let's just say that there's kind of two main objectives that seem to exist within the sport. One is the objective to grow the sport in what we would call kind of the amateur pathway, being the ultimate goal of that would be probably something like the Olympics, where we really have a very strict set of guidelines, we all operate off the same page, and we have fantastic tournaments, fantastic competitions. That is obviously best represented by WAF and all of the organizations that do that sort of stuff. They've been around, I think the WAF rules have been around for 50 years or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but WAF have a set of guidelines that have been adopted almost globally for a very long time, and they have a master referee system, they have senior referees, and it's a process of qualification to even become a referee. Now, like I said, I just got back from Moldova where the tournament was refereed very strictly by WAF, and I have to say, it was refreshing coming from the Australian refereeing system, which is much more, I guess, closely related to the WAL and the American style arm wrestling. As I said, it was very refreshing to actually be in a strict refereeing scenario. So, as an arm wrestler, the differences, like for me, I've had probably 500 starts, at least professional starts, with the Australian system. And I've had only 8 starts now with the sort of WAF European more style and that system. So I can tell you that my experience there, I loved the setups. It was very fair. I didn't feel like I was at all being cheated, or I didn't feel like my opponent had the ability to cheat. The WAF referees put the onus on us as arm wrestlers to stay within the rules. They were very clear. They'd give you a warning. If you didn't comply, they would simply say foul. Okay, so straight away, arm wrestlers recognize that and they go, oh man, okay, I better straighten that wrist, otherwise I'm just going to be fouled out. And no one wants to go to Moldova and end up being fouled out. So you comply. Okay, and I liked it. Look, it did change the style of arm wrestling as well. Speed was a massive thing, and the way that Europeans arm wrestle is very different because of the way they're used to being set up by the referees. Now, Toddzilla said something funny to me. Justin Bishop and I lost matches to guys that we both felt that we were stronger than, and we put that down to things like awareness off the go and just speed and reaction time and familiarity with what the referees are saying. Now, very interestingly, I liked what Toddzilla said after that when we were discussing speed. He said, yeah, that's because you guys are American fast. You're not Bulgarian fast. Now, I don't think that the Bulgarians or anyone in Europe are actually genetically faster than we are. They're just familiar with this style of refereeing and hence know what to expect, know when to react. And look, 90% of matches were actually finished outside of the straps because of this nature, because of this very little loading, no one really starting to go. It was just bang, you'd either win or lose. There was very little time to have this always slipping that happens on the other side of the fence. So the WAL side of the fence, which, like I said, Australia is very similar to as well, it's much more about entertainment. I guess like WAL is the extreme. Obviously, there's a lot of movement before the go. Referees will allow people to carve. They'll allow wrists to be bent. They'll allow back pressure to start. All these different things are going on in the WAL. And if you don't do that as well, you lose, because if you sit there and try to be all WAF and your opponent's starting to drag early and go early, hey, well, you're clearly going to lose. So what do? You naturally start to respond and do it as well. So the WAL, in its quest to try to be the most entertaining form of arm wrestling possible, has become the most loose refereeing form of arm wrestling on the planet. Is that a good thing for entertainment? Maybe. It seems to be very entertaining, the WAL, but is it a good thing long term for arm wrestling? Probably not. What is the solution to all this? It's a good question. Look, I'm someone who wants arm wrestling to be entertaining. I would also love to be in the Olympics someday for arm wrestling. All of these things I think can be possible. I really loved the WAF refereeing. If WAL started to referee like that, we're going to see some matches lost on fouls. That's the reason why WAL doesn't do it. But I honestly think it needs to happen. I honestly think that WAL should shift a bit towards the WAF. Not entirely, but shift a bit toward it. Start fouling people, not for the little micro elbow fouls, but foul people for moving early. Foul people for dragging off the back of the pad excessively. Like, just foul people instead of warning people, maybe. But the thing about it all is, and the WAF on the other hand, let me go back to that. The WAF on the other hand, sometimes too strict. Like, sometimes there's fouls, I don't even see the foul. I can't even, no matter how close I look, I'm like, really? There was an elbow foul there? Oh, wow, okay, I didn't see it, I didn't feel it as an arm wrestler. And nothing worse than seeing a final, for instance, end on fouls and little fouls like moving in the ref's grip. But again, when the money's on the line, arm wrestlers are going to try to get away with everything they possibly can, and moving in the ref's grip might be what they're after. So I get why it happens. So at the end of the day, I think that I prefer the WAF style. I have to say it, I do prefer the WAF style. It is much cleaner as an arm wrestler. It feels like the sport is more, it's more pure, and it's just more enjoyable for me as an arm wrestler. I enjoyed it. If I would change anything, if I could find the perfect mix, I would add the running foul to WAF, because there's nothing worse. My pet peeve about WAF rules is that if I pin you and you elbow foul whilst I'm pinning you, I gotta do it again. We restart the match because you, the guy who just got pinned, elbow fouled. I don't agree with that. I think running fouls need to be a thing. The other thing is, I think we need to have running fouls, we need to have regular fouls or running fouls, and then we need to have professional fouls. This is where the WAL could really be fixed, I think. We need professional fouls. Now, a bobble or an elbow just slipping off accidentally, if a referee deems an elbow foul or any sort of foul to be an accident, okay, it's just a standard foul. Standard running foul, match continues on. But we need to have the addition of the professional foul. The professional foul could be seen as a deliberate act that prevented a loss. Okay, so think of Travis Bajan's mega elbow foul against Michael Todd in 2017. Think about Devin Larratt sliding a foot off the back of the pad to avoid Matt Mask pinning him in WAL. Those sorts of fouls. They should be professional fouls, never running fouls. You shouldn't be able to do that. You do that, it should just be instant loss no matter what. Okay, because arm wrestlers are always going to take advantage of the rules, and whilst ever that running foul rule is there, in that lost position, people are just going to do the most excessive foul they've ever seen before just to get a running foul and a pin and a subsequent restart. Same way that in WAF, people, if they feel like they're going to lose, just jump their elbow up and get a restart. Shouldn't happen. So WAF's solution, again to recap, WAF's solution is to introduce running fouls. WAL's solution is to add the professional foul. Will they ever combine? I don't think so. They've got different goals. Entertainment, aiming for things like the Olympics, they're both great. Which one do I prefer? Right now I'm in a season of preferring WAF. I love Moldova, but look, I'm all about the entertainment as well, so they are what they are, each to their own, but either way, I think they both can be refined. Will WAF change? Probably not. Will WAL change? Probably, but they're always trying to refine. They probably change too much, where WAF is probably too disciplined and stuck in the same groove. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on refereeing and rules to do with those different federations. Yeah, love to hear your thoughts. Either way, I'll see you next time.